Hi painting students! Today we're going to be talking about watercolor techniques. We're going to learn 8 different watercolor techniques and practice them on our paper. After you do this assignment, I'd like you to do a second assignment for your remote learning this week, our first week of painting. You're going to be creating a free choice painting using at least 3 of the techniques that you practice today on our first assignment. So this is what today's assignment will look like. After that, you're going to create a second piece tomorrow during your second remote learning day, and it can be whatever you want as long as you use three of those techniques. Have fun! Okay, so the first thing we need to do is prep our paper. You're going to break your paper into 8 different boxes so that we can practice each technique in its own box. You can break the paper up using the tape roll that I left in your bag. So I started by making a strip in the middle, and then I'm going to put a strip around the outside for the outside of all my boxes. And then I'll break that up into 8 other boxes with 4 more strips of tape. Your boxes do not all need to be the same size. You can just eyeball this. Just make sure you have 8 different boxes that you can paint in. The tape creates a nice crisp line at the end when we peel the tape off, and it keeps your paints from mixing together. Now, after you have your 8 boxes, you're going to use a pencil and just label each box with the technique we're going to do. You can go back into the assignment to check what the techniques are, but I'll write them down. Wet on wet, dry brush, flat wash, graded wash, and then on the bottom, variegated wash, salt, blotting, and splatter. So I'm hoping you guys have some salt at home in your kitchen. If you don't, you can skip that one, but I actually don't have salt here. I'm going to fake it. Okay, for wet on wet, that's the box on the left. All you need to do is get your paper really wet with a nice puddle. Now I'm talking really wet, guys. You want to see the water pooling. And after you get it nice and wet with a puddle, you can stir into the pigment and just drop some nice wet pigment into the puddle. You don't want to paint here very much. Don't wiggle your brush. Just dab it like you're using an eyedropper. That's wet on wet. Now we're going to practice dry brush in the next box. Dry brush is where you basically have a dry brush. So you need something to wipe your brush off with. I'm going to use this paper, a towel works, and I'm just going to get a little bit of dry pigment on my brush and just do some wipes with my brush. People use dry brush a lot when they're doing grasses or other types of things that they need texture for. It's a good one for landscape painting. You can try dry brush with more than one color. I'm going to add a little yellow to my red to create a little variety in my dry brush box. Now I'm going to go on to the next one, which says flat wash. A flat wash is just one even color. So this is what most people think of when they're painting a picture. Just pick a color and try to make it as even as you can so that it's not darker on one end and lighter on the other. You want it to just be a nice, even, flat wash. You can use the water to thin it out a little bit and just move that bead of water that's in the wash around until it all seems pretty even. Now I'm going to go to the graded wash. For this one, you want it to be dark on one end, and then it gets lighter as you move down. So I'm going to use a lot of water down at the bottom because I know I just want it to be a light blue. And then I'm going to start to spread this carefully down toward the light bottom. Now I'm going to get more pigment and make the top of it really dark. So the graded wash is all about fading from a dark value to a really light value. And you do that by adding lots of pigment on your brush at one end and just lots and lots of water on the other end with less pigment. Next, we're going to do a variegated wash on the bottom left side. And this is when you blend from one color to another. I'll start with blue. I'm going to blend from one corner to another just to make it interesting. And then I want my blue to blend into a yellow. So I'm going to wash my brush so that my paints stay nice and clean. And then I'm going to get some fresh yellow and I'm going to put it way down at the other end because I know I want that to be a pure yellow over here. It's this middle area that I need to be careful with. I want those to blend. So I'm just going to carefully paint to the blue area and let those two mix a little bit. I don't want to overwork it. I might just add a little blue here and let those mix so that I have a blue fading to a yellow. My next technique is going to be salt. So I actually don't have any salt with me right now, but what you'll do is paint this in with whatever pigment you want, whatever color, and then you're just going to sprinkle a little bit of salt over the wet spots. And you'll find that it dries really cool and makes it sort of look like a little galaxy. There's a little chemical reaction that goes on there. And now in this box, I'm going to do something called blotting. Blotting is where you use a tissue or a towel to pull some of the pigment off of your paper. So first just paint a nice little flat wash, and then you can use a tissue or a towel to pull some of it off. It leaves some pretty cool marks. Nice little bit of texture there. And then finally, the splatter! Everyone's favorite. Don't go too wild. I like to tap the end of my paintbrush to make splatter. Oh, and I forgot, the best part is peeling the tape off. You can use your tape as a barrier, but then what is really cool is when you peel it off, you get a beautiful line kind of holding in all your images. Hang on a second. There you go. You can do the tape when you do your free choice assignment too. Just tape around the outside of your paper and you'll get a nice white line.